Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Unbiased America Live, or Unbiased America Live at some point, and then I upload it to Facebook. Um, we're here with Jim Agresti of Just Facts, which is located in Morris County, New Jersey. Tell us a little bit about Just Facts and what your mission is, Jim.
Sure, Will. Great to be here, by the way. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for coming on.
Just Facts is a public policy institute dedicated to publishing verifiable facts about public policy. We have very stringent standards of credibility to distinguish what is a fact from what is not a fact. We are very fastidious about using highly credible primary sources and not stretching those sources beyond what they say.
So people can find out this mission statement online, correct? Is it justfacts.com or justfacts.org?
Either one. We have
Either
them both.
one? Okay.
Yep.
And then you also have a Facebook page, correct? Just Facts on Facebook, and people can go there and you upload your newest links there?
Absolutely. And we also have a fact-checking blog at justfactsdaily.com.
Okay. And people can donate on the website too?
Absolutely. Donations, we'll make that easy for you.
All right. I wanted to start off with first. I will start off with the status of forces agreement that ended in 2011 in Iraq, and then we'll get into the immigration issues. I want to cover two immigration issues. One is the Hillary Clinton's claim, and that many on the left and libertarians claim that illegal immigrants pay into the system. And I also want to handle the Donald Trump's claim that illegal immigrants voted. We had the debate about the popular vote. Donald Trump sent out a tweet saying that, a lot of illegals voted, and that's a bulk of the difference between the two in the popular vote. But first, the status of forces agreement, which led, many reports indicate, to the rise of ISIS. Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton made the claim too in one of the debates that it was Bush's fault. You see that we had to withdraw troops from Iraq because he put into the agreement a status of forces agreement that the troops are to withdraw in 2011. But was that really necessarily a hard deadline, or is that kind of procedural?
Well, just before Bush left office, there was a clamor from the Iraqi people and also other governments and people in this nation that we don't want to have an indefinite U.S. military presence in Iraq. So George W. Bush negotiated with the Iraqi government the Status of Forces Agreement, or SOFA as it's so called, that said by the end of 2011, the U.S. would pull all remaining troops from Iraq. Now, the thing is, everybody knew from the U.S. to the Iraqis, this was not a hard end date. It was a soft placeholder, just so that we would have something on paper. And if you look at the news articles that were published at the time, this was very clear. Nobody expected this to be a hard end date. The top Iraqi general said that the U.S. forces must stay until 2020, until they have built up the security apparatus to keep their nation safe.
So even the Iraqis wanted us there, correct?
Absolutely. Now,
okay.
What happened was in 2011, a negotiation process to extend this began. And the Obama administration, carrying out the orders of their commander-in-chief, who campaigned on a promise to have everyone out of Iraq by the end of 2011, basically torpedoed those negotiations. They put the Iraqis in a ridiculous position where they had to go on record in a very public vote with no preparation to say that if the U.S. troops commit any atrocities here, we're not going to prosecute them. We're going to give them immunity. And because the Obama administration insisted upon that, they couldn't get the thing passed. There were other ways to get this thing passed. It could have been done simply through a State Department diplomatic action. But the Obama administration abjectly, and Hillary Clinton, said, we're not going to do it this way. So when this Status of Forces Agreement finally elapsed, Obama took all the troops from Iraq and basically took credit for it. He said, I got them out. Numerous times he gave speeches saying, I did this, I kept my promise, I got them out. There were a number of articles in places like the New York Times and the influential magazine, Foreign Policy, where they detailed what happened, that this was a decision of Obama and Hillary Clinton. And actually one of them said, well, some people were looking to extend it, and the White House sent a letter to Foreign Policy and said, no, we did not. We did not want to extend it. That was never our intention. It was always a hardcore promise we were going to keep to get these troops out of there.
Okay. So I just want to give some background. In 2007, things in Iraq weren't going well. Bush had this troop surge. I think he added about 30,000 troops. Iraq started to stabilize. Democracy did start to take hold. I mean, even Barack Obama was claiming these things before the status of forces agreement ended, and he used that. I mean, at the time he used that as a kind of a reason to pull out, like, for withdrawal at the time, even though against, like you said, the wishes of generals on the ground and the Iraqis, correct?
And his own military officials.
Right, his own generals on the
Yep.
American military.
Mm-hmm.
So it was always kind of like, well, everything's working out well here. Might as well pull the troops out. This was my campaign promise. I'm gonna go. I think at the time ISIS was in Syria. It was kind of a small band of thugs. I don't know if the president knew about them at the time, but I think he did. I'm not entirely sure.
I'm sure, and I think they went by a different name back then as
Mhm.
well, but they were pretty much, as Obama referred to them in his mind, the JV team.
Correct.
Not
Right.
to be worried about, nothing to worry about.
So instead of taking a prudent strategy, he says, you know what? I'm going to withdraw these troops. I'm going to tell everybody it's because we can't get immunity, which was a facade, correct?
Well, he said that later. Okay, at
Okay.
the time they were saying, yeah, this is part of it, but we don't want this anyway. There
Okay.
could be immunity. This is not the way it's working out, but they were very public about saying we don't want to do this.
Right.
And when he left, when he pulled out the troops, he said we are leaving behind a safe, stable, and secure Iraq.
Right. So this troop surge was successful. He pulls out the troops for that reason, but it was like he used it, politically, right? It was like, okay, it's a safe Iraq. We're going to pull out the troops. And then all of a sudden, when it backfired, now it's Bush's fault, right? It seems to be kind of like a modus operandi with the administration to do that. Oh, it's not our fault. It was the previous administrations, or it's the Republicans in Congress. I'm not sure if anything, they took the blame for much of what their administration did. Am I off base on that one?
Well, the Washington Examiner has put together a great video montage of Obama claiming, I got us out of Iraq. I did a good thing. I did it. I did it. I did it. Then after ISIS took over and the nation was torn into anarchy, you had hundreds of thousands of refugees, untold dead people, people being tortured, drowned live in cages, put in a cage with a video camera, women being raped, sold off as sex slaves, absolute atrocities visited upon these poor people. And somebody asked Obama, hey, in hindsight, was this a good decision? And he said, I'm kind of shocked as to why this keeps coming up, as if this were my decision.
That's amazing. And it's amazing that he gets away with it. We just have a media that just doesn't seem to probe these types of questions. I think you mentioned in your article that, like, PolitiFact backed them up.
Yeah, when this issue came up in the first presidential debate, Hillary Clinton said, I hope the fact checkers are listening and turning up their volume real loud so we can get to the truth of this matter. And sure enough, after the debate, places like the Washington Post, factcheck.org, and PolitiFact all backed up Hillary Clinton. They all said, oh yeah, she's right, totally leaving out any of the salient context, the things some of their own newspapers had published at the time that Obama withdrew the troops. Many of them had editorials praising Obama for withdrawing the troops, not Bush, but Obama. And now they turn around as if the readers can't remember, and many of them don't, actually what happened. And what's really despicable about this, I deal with some of these fact checkers, and my article about this, which is on justfactsdaily.com, was forwarded to Glenn Kessler at the Washington Post. And he was just so arrogant and dismissive of it. He's like, oh, you're citing a gossip blog. I'm like, are you kidding me? I am citing New York Times articles, the influential magazine, Foreign Policy, and that's what he referred to as a gossip blog.
Well, I think he should know that the Washington Post is a gossip blog.
Yeah,
To be fair.
These people, what they have done, if any of your listeners believes what these fact checkers and uncritically believes what these media organizations and fact checkers publish, I advise them to go to our blog, justfactsdaily.com, plug in any of their names, and ask yourself, after reading the facts about what these people report and what the actual truth is, if these are honest and competent people. And leave that for your viewers to make that decision.
Quickly, if you had to say there was one somewhat reputable fact-checking organization, what would you say it would be?
Justfacts.com. I honestly, I used to have a much higher opinion of the Washington Post fact checker.
They've been terrible lately. Terrible.
I felt that they were better than the other two, factcheck.org and PolitiFact.
Mm-hmm.
But what I see, the trend is, when it gets to pre-election time, their partisan colors just shine through. They drop all pretense of objectivity.
They just can't help themselves.
It's despicable how these people have misled their readers. And their readers should revolt because they are being lied to.
You know what publication I've always kind of respected and did a good job with the polling and so on this past election is Investors Business Daily. I always thought that they did a good job, even on their editorial page, reporting the facts. Their polling data is usually pretty good. But
I concur, by the way.
Okay, cool. I want to move on from the status of forces agreement. We can get more in depth into that another time. But I wanted to get to the claims I hear for proponents of illegal immigration. People that think that it's a net plus on the market, it's a net plus for the economy, and it's first and foremost. And I've looked for a lot. Many times I've looked for research or data on illegal aliens and what they contribute to the economy. And the first problem you run into is that they're illegal aliens. They're not documented. We don't know why they're here. We don't know what they're doing most of the time. I don't know where all these people are making claims that, they're coming here for jobs or, they're hardworking people. They're just not documented. So where are people getting the data when they say, hey, these illegal aliens are paying federal income taxes? Where are they finding that data?
Well, you're absolutely correct that reliable data on illegal immigrants is very tough to come by because oftentimes they're working off the grid. They're getting paid under the table. A lot of times they've concealed their identity. They have fake social security numbers obtained with fake birth certificates. So it's very difficult to quantify anything related to the population of illegal immigrants, or much less their motives, right? Are they coming here to escape persecution in their nation?
Well, that's the whole purpose of immigration law, is to figure that stuff out. When they come, why are you here? Who, do you have family here? Who's going to take care of you while you're here? Are you a political radical? What diseases do you have? Right? I mean, isn't that the purpose of the immigration law?
It's supposed to be. If people do it right, of course, they make it absolutely very difficult. And I know some people who have come here legitimately from other nations with jobs and families who work hard, and what they have to go through just to stay here on a regular basis, to renew their ability to stay here is unbelievable. The bureaucratic mess they have to wade through. Right. So yet the people who come here illegally, everyone just wants to look the other way and say, just let them stay. None of the rules that apply to legal immigrants apply to them. So the government has set up a system basically incentivizing illegal immigration.
Exactly. And you know what I hate? And both Republicans, it's not the illegal alien to be blamed here. It's Republicans and Democrats that created a system that incentivizes these people to come here. Many times, at their own peril. I mean, some people traveling all the way through Mexico from Central and South America, they take on great risk to try to get here. And it's all because they've been enticed by bad policies, or just blatant disregard for the law by officials in our government. We have birthright citizenship. So if they come here and have a child, that's another incentive. Also, when they do have a kid here, that opens them up to benefits. Correct?
Well, even before that, the emergency 1986 Act, EMPAL is the acronym. I forget what it stands for, but it basically says if you arrive at a hospital pregnant and want to deliver a baby, doesn't matter if you're here illegally, doesn't matter if you have your citizenship, the hospital has to do that. So it starts before that with prenatal care, delivery. In New York City, the rate of people that are treated under this act that have babies is higher than 50%. Okay, wow. They just come here.
Who pays for that?
Well, the government pays, federal government pays part of it. They reimburse the hospitals to some degree.
Mhm.
The other part, however, falls upon people who use the hospitals and pay for the hospitals. You see these exorbitant prices, and oftentimes it's because the hospital loses a fortune on Medicaid, Medicare, and EMTALA patients. So they're making it up on, again, the people who play by the rules, get insurance, pay their bills.
So let me just be clear. The illegal aliens using emergency room services are pass. The federal government will reimburse some of these hospitals, or they just charge, other customers more. Correct? They're going to charge, well, with the addition of Medicaid and Medicare, which aren't really paying necessarily, have some sort of price controls. The hospitals have to make up those other, those losses by charging just a standard off the street customer, correct? And their help by and their health insurance by raising prices, right, to subsidize these other people, correct?
Absolutely. And the people who really get the raw end of the deal here is people who do pay with their own money instead of cash. They don't have insurance. There are some people who self-insure who don't have serious health problems, but will pay for a hospital visit. Those are the people who really get killed because the hospitals have agreements with insurance companies that they'll charge a certain percentage of the list price. But the people who don't have that bargaining power are the people who really get decimated through this situation.
So all the talk about rising healthcare costs, health insurance premiums, and so on with Obamacare, and that's raging on now. Some of this is due to illegal aliens, Medicaid, and Medicare.
Absolutely.
Correct?
Medicaid and Medicare pay hospitals approximately 10% below their costs of treating patients. That's been year after year after year, audits, surveys. They just don't pay hospitals enough to take care of their patients.
But why do you want to throw grandma off a cliff, Jim? And why do you hate immigrants? That's just, you know what I mean? This is what you're going to get anytime you say these things. It's never protecting the American citizen. It's always you hate grandma, you hate immigrants. They're always coming up with something insane to say that has absolutely nothing to do with the argument, and it's getting really, really frustrating. I want to get to how are they paying into the federal? They're not citizens, so how are they paying into how are they paying federal taxes?
Okay, so let's get back to the original point, which is what they pay in versus what they take out. So again, the data is scarce, but the government has a program that provides a tremendous source of data on this subject. They have something called an ITIN program, which is called the Individual Taxpayer Identification Number. And it allows illegal immigrants and foreign investors to pay taxes in the US, to pay income taxes. And I ask you, why would an illegal immigrant working under the table want to pay federal income taxes? The answer is that by getting one of these ITIN numbers, you can get what's called a child tax credit, which is available to anyone who pays income taxes. So what illegal immigrants do is they sign up for this to get this ITIN from the IRS. Again, they're here illegally, they're working illegally, yet they're getting a taxpayer identification number from the IRS, and they can file a tax return. And this is what the numbers show from that. The latest numbers from the IRS, which are from 2010, you had illegal immigrants pay $9 billion in federal taxes, income taxes, and receive $4.9 billion in tax credits, back cash beyond any taxes they paid. In fact, 74% of the people who file an ITIN don't pay any taxes, and they receive these child tax credits as compared to 14% in the general population of the US. So what happened in the third debate was Hillary Clinton said, 50% of illegal immigrants pay federal taxes. Unlike you, Donald Trump, you don't pay any. And of course, the fact checkers came out and says, oh yeah, she's right, she's right. She's wrong. What the fact checkers refused to show, and the evidence was as concrete as any, yet official government data of the people who filed these forms, this so-called 50%, and they're taking out more than they're putting in. So they're just filing tax returns. They're not paying taxes. And there's a big difference. And I can give you a little more background on this. The way a lot of these...
Let me clarify first. What you're
Yeah.
saying is, why would an illegal alien that's here, no one knows why they're here, they're being paid under the table, why would they sign up to pay federal income. It's just you wouldn't do it. What you're saying is they're doing it because they're making money doing it. That's what induces them to sign up by using the child tax credit, correct?
Correct.
Okay, now go ahead.
Okay, so the way a lot of these fact checkers operate, and in this case, I think it was PolitiFact. It was PolitiFact. They basically call a few chosen experts to give their opinion about something. There's no actual facts. What you're getting is cherry-picked views of selected individuals. And they called on two professors who were experts in immigration. And those professors said, yeah, 50% of them pay income taxes. I reached out to those professors and said, where's your data for this? And by the way, have you considered the fact that these ITINs show the exact opposite? One of them conceded and said, yeah, I forgot, didn't even realize that. Okay, and when I sent the article, I asked them for a correction on their part. I said, hey, if I'm wrong, correct me, but if you're wrong, I want you to issue a correction. The other one just was flippant. She answered, but she blew me off. Nothing from either one of them. So what you have is academics and media in cahoots to mislead the American people. They've been presented the facts. They didn't even do the work to get the facts. And now that they have them, they're just blowing them off.
This is about narratives, isn't it, Jim? It's not really about the truth for them.
Yeah, I don't want to read their motives. I'm telling you their actions.
Okay, I'm going to read their motives, and I'm telling you this is about narratives. They don't care about the truth. They care. They're ideologues. They care about their ideology, and they understand that illegal aliens depend on government, and if they're citizens, they'll vote for more of it. It's pretty simple. I can say that. Maybe you can't, but that's exactly what they're doing. And then you have the Republicans that want them here because the Chamber of Commerce wants cheap labor. It's very simple. Read the Wall Street Journal. They want them here for the same reason. That I think that page is a shill for the Chamber of Commerce. But I can go on about that all day. I wanted to talk to, speak to Donald Trump's claim of illegal aliens voting. I also want to start by saying that I got 2 absentee ballots to my house. I don't know what the names were. They were crazy names. No one's lived in my place in 11 years. I could have just filled them out, sent them in, and definitely voted illegally. I don't know, where these voters are, how they're still on the rolls. Is there any way that any illegal aliens can vote, like in the manner that I just discussed now?
Well, there's no question that they can. The question is, do they? Now, what people?
How can they? I don't understand. It's
Okay,
like when I go, I saw what I got 2 absentee ballots to my place. I could have easily filled them out, sent them back in, or you know what I mean, and I would have voted for them too. But when I go to the polls, I walk in, I say my name, and they ask, where my address is. But how does an illegal alien go about it? Don't they have to know somebody in order to know their name in order to go in and vote as them?
No, because first of all, 3 million illegal immigrants, according to the Social Security Administration, are using fraudulent Social Security numbers. They've either obtained them by using a false birth certificate, and the government is very flippant about checking such documentation, so they get a legitimate, an apparently legitimate Social Security number. Some of them use other people's Social Security numbers. Some of them get Social Security numbers to work temporarily in the U.S. and then just keep using them even after they're here illegally. Social Security number is an immediate ticket to voter registration. If you have one of those and a documentation saying you received an electric bill at an address, you can register. You don't even need a Social Security number in many different states. It's very easy to register.
So hold on 1 second here. You're saying that all I need to do is get a bill from a utility company and I'm able to sign up to vote?
That in conjunction with a Social Security number, absolutely. And in some states, it depends on the state, and I think California is very lax about this. One other form of documentation. One other form of documentation, it's very easy, because what people will say is, well, we want to make it easy for people to vote. But really, we should be making it easy for citizens to vote, not just anyone to vote.
Okay. So now, what is the data on? You said there's 2 different things. Yes, they can vote. And the next question is, do they? So do they?
So absolutely. There was a study done in, I'm trying to get the year here, so hang on, I'm scrolling through my screen here. So in 2014, the academic journal Electoral Studies published a paper, a peer-reviewed scientific paper about illegal immigrants voting. It found that 25% of illegal immigrants are registered to vote, and then roughly 6.4% of them do vote. with appropriate error bars. So if you add up the numbers and you look at the median, what they came to, I think they came to about 2 million. Let me get the number here. It's like 2 million illegal immigrants voted in the 2008 election, according to their own statements filled out on surveys.
And I'm sorry, where did you get this data from?
2014 paper in the Journal of Electoral Studies.
Okay, Journal of Electoral Studies. Okay.
Yeah. So
because we just talked about how hard it is to get data on illegal aliens. I want to know, I want to look to see later where they got their data, and I know people are going to ask me that.
Well, I can answer that question now if we have time.
Go ahead.
Okay. So basically, there is a massive survey conducted across the United States by a company called YouGov, and basically it asks a very long series of questions about people's demographics, voting habits, and whatnot, whether or not they're illegal immigrants. And these were the results of that survey. These authors simply processed those results. And after they did this, YouGov and other people involved with this survey, a group at Harvard, basically said, you cannot use the data in this way, and this is why. And they published a rebuttal paper. And if you look at what the fact checkers said in the wake of this debate, they just basically published the rebuttal, dismissed the original paper, portrayed the people who, in fact, they didn't even portray the people who wrote the paper as academics. They portrayed them as people who wrote something in the monkey cage of the Washington Post. That's how PolitiFact handled this. These are respected academics and scholars published in a peer-reviewed journal. You could never get that from reading PolitiFact's fact check. So what these authors have since done is gone back and said, no, these criticisms are wrong, and this is why. So it's an ongoing debate. We've addressed that again at justfactsdaily.com. And there is no question, you can't put an exact number on it, but substantial numbers of non-citizens did vote and do vote.
Okay, so just to be clear here, when Donald Trump said a lot of illegal aliens voted in his tweet, everybody made fun of him. The intelligentsia obviously all mocked him. Mainstream media mocked him. But there is a lot of truth to his claim, to be clear.
Well, his specific claim was that he would have won the popular vote if he took out all the illegal votes. Now that claim,
that's hard to
cannot be proven with the data we have. So he stretched the evidence further than it went. He might have said, if he had said might have won, then that's a possibility. The data shows that is very plausible, but it's not provable.
Well, let's just say that if he was a liberal and he sent out that tweet, you would have the Washington Post, PolitiFact saying, oh, yeah, illegals can vote, giving me all the information you just did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
which is fascinating to me.
There's no question that there's double standards here. And what we strive to do at Just Facts is be very comprehensive about the data, give people all of the facts, not all of the opinions, but all of the facts.
Right. And, it's funny because I'm not the biggest Donald Trump fan, but I mean, God, don't these people have a little bit like, just a little, I don't know, integrity, the credibility? Don't you want to maintain or adhere to the truth just a teeny bit? It's kind of odd that they can just let that go and not think that, I don't know what your worry is, but if I put something out, my worry is all the holes that are going to be in it, how many times I can get attacked from. So I try to close all the holes. It's like these people just don't even care. It's like, just put it out there, get this message out. And you know what? People hear these reports, they don't really look into it, so they believe it at first. So it's kind of a successful strategy, is it not?
I think it was Abraham Lincoln, said you can fool some of the people some of the time. You can't fool all the people all the time. And for these people that have loyal readers or listeners or viewers, they don't seem to really care about whether or not other people know they're liars. Or maybe they're just incompetent, whatever it is. They just say, we've got our audience and we're going to do fine with this and screw the rest of the world, forget about the truth. And it's really despicable what they do.
Well, I just want to say that I love your site. I love your Facebook page. Everything's well researched. All your hot links are there to check the sources. Nothing's ever done half-heartedly or half-assed, for lack of a better word. You do great work. I think, if people really care about the truth, I would say please donate to Just Facts. You can go to their website, justfacts.com or justfacts.org. Please visit their Facebook page. Tell your friends and family. Jim, thank you for coming on. It was a good show. I'd love to have you back again, and we can talk about some of your other work.
I'd be happy to do that. Thank you for your show. Thank you for sending people to our Facebook page and asking them to donate to our work. I really appreciate it, and I appreciate your work as well.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you so much.
All right, take care, Will.
Bye.